Welcome again to Bluecorp TechBytes. Today we have Mr. Udam Dewaraja, who is the Director of Engineering at Apptio USA. Apptio is a global leader in technology business management solutions. Before Apptio, Udam has spent a great deal of time in organizations like AWS and HP. Good evening, Udam, and welcome to Bluecorp TechBytes.
Good evening. Yeah, glad to be here.
As for our topic for today, we would be talking about cloud cost optimization. To start off with, we have many of our clients spending millions of dollars in the cloud. And we also have seen a lot of companies heading into cloud later to find themselves with a hefty bill. So then, could you tell us what is cloud cost optimization and why is it important?
So yeah, let me just start off by just saying what is the typical story that we see from our customers. The typical story we see is there's a lot of demand for the public cloud in the engineering organizations. Engineering gets access. They go launch a lot of stuff. Budgets get blown. Finance comes back and says, "Hey, you're spending too much money," and starts putting in restrictions. Right, so that's the general story we hear pretty much in all of our customer base, large or small. And once those restrictions are in place, really you start stifling kind of the innovation and some of the main reasons you move to the cloud. So a couple of things happen there. The finance departments aren't, used to the dynamic nature of the public cloud spend. They're more used to the multi-year financial planning, capital expenditures for on-premise kind of thing. They have a lot more control over that. The other part that leads to that is really what I'd say cloud newbie type engineering teams. They don't follow good etiquette in the cloud and then ends up with with the hefty cloud bill that you're talking about, right? So how do we pull people out of that? Really, it starts with visibility. So before I even get into optimization, it is about visibility and it's about driving accountability. If you can't allocate the cost that you're spending in the cloud back to a team or a service that's using those resources and incurring those costs, then you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So first step is to get that visibility, and then really people graduate as a second phase into the more of the optimization side, right? And optimization is really usage-based optimization and rate optimization, both concepts I'm sure we can get into as we talk more.
So then we have actually seen customers of Apptio spending around 433 billion US dollars, and I would say more than 50% of Fortune 100 companies use Apptio. So in terms of that, what sort of savings could cloud cost optimization bring in?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so we serve about 60% of the Fortune 100 companies, so some of the largest companies in the world. And in specifically the cloud optimization and cloud cost management space, we have a lot of capabilities from our Cloudability product. So Cloudability gives you better visibility, and it also gets into that optimization recommendation space. So specifically in recommendation space, what you're looking at is usage-based optimization, which is where you take essentially some of the same workloads that you're running in the cloud. We're looking at the billing as well as the available cloud SKUs, and then we are recommending that you move to lower cost SKUs that will give you the same level of performance. And in a lot of ways, what happens is people just way over provision when they move to the cloud. So what you're shaving off there is all of the unused capacity that you pay for with a cloud provider. You're essentially able to right size that. What you're also discovering with the usage-based optimization is unused things. It's easy to launch and then forget in the cloud, right? You maybe have launched something in a region that you don't really rarely look at, and then that thing is still going to keep costing you money until you go terminate that, right? So things like right sizing and usage-based optimization finds those opportunities for you, so you can go take the right actions. So typically, depending on the type of service and the maturity of the organization, we're able to provide 20 to 40% savings on your typical cloud bill by doing the right sizing. And we have compute, block storage, databases, blob storage across AWS and Azure, which really, I mean, is industry leading in that sense, because most people only have like compute and block storage type recommendations. They don't have the next level stuff. Rate optimization, on the other hand, is more around capacity reservations, right? So if you can look at your usage patterns and consumption in the cloud and say, look, I'm always utilizing a certain amount of capacity, I can reserve that capacity, which means I can tell the cloud provider, I want to, reserve this for 1 year or 3 years, and then they'll give you a rate that's typically like 60% cheaper than what the on-demand costs are. It's good for them, it's good for you, like it's definitely something you want to do, but that's one you got to be a little bit careful of. You don't want to go out and buy a bunch of reservations that end up being unused, and then that's going to end up wasting money because now you're committed to those dollars. So those are kind of the typical ways that we end up saving money for our customers. And it's part of the general cloud hygiene that we recommend for our customers.
Very interesting indeed. So based on what you just said, Udam, I believe that this is a very important topic, when it comes to CTOs, but it's just not an important topic to only CTOs, but I think CEOs and CFOs should also be, much aware about, this area. Could you just tell us a little bit more about maybe a few of your use cases, just a brief overview of how it has helped some of your clients?
So Apptio plays in the IT financial management space. We do cost analytics and planning for all of IT, right? And if you think about cloud spend is just a small but very fast growing part of that IT spend. So what you get with IT with Apptio is really that IT financial management at an all up IT cost level. In terms of IT costs, what is really challenging about it is it's really hard to allocate, right? When you have a server running and you spend a bunch of money on that, and you pay power and cooling costs and server administrators, salaries and all those kind of things, you'd like to be able to like allocate those costs back to whoever's using those servers. But servers and other, IT kind of resources are all shared, right? You may have 10 things running on that. How do you say, hey, accounting department, you get this amount of this cost, or finance department, you get this percentage of this? That's a really hard problem for companies that we deal with that are spending billions of dollars on IT. Like, the huge part of what they're trying to solve is get that visibility of where those dollars are flowing, right? Within the company, who's using those IT resources, because they don't want to just look at IT as a cost center that just goes out and spends money. So where we essentially shine in this space is customers bring in their actuals, they bring in various other types of data, like maybe their HR data, CMDB data, and whatnot. And what they're able to do is they're able to model their IT costs and eventually get to a place where the CFOs, the CTOs, the CIOs are able to get better visibility into where the dollars are, flowing, right? So that's kind of the typical Apptio story. Now, when it comes to like cloud, as I said, we've been innovating kind of through this cloudability offering in the cloud space for a long time. So we had rate optimization recommendations, and as I said, the usage optimization. Most of those before the native cloud providers, even started providing them. So there's a lot of things that we've done in the past that, whether it be cloud providers or other competitors in our space, are trying to replicate, because we've sort of been kind of the category creators of this IT financial management software space. So yeah, I mean, that to me, that's kind of the space that we play in, and some of the use cases that we serve in this IT financial management space.
Okay, Udam. So there are also various tools on platforms, let's say, like AWS and Azure, which do cost management on the cloud. We ourselves have used these native AWS and Azure tools heavily, to reduce the cost of our client. So how does a solution like Apptio go beyond to provide a more holistic view of, let's say, the technological expenses?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, so like I was saying earlier, like we do all up IT cost analytics and planning, right? So cloud cost is just a part of this bigger picture of IT spend. Therefore, most of our customers, what they don't want to be doing is they don't want to have one set of tools for the cloud and another set of tools for their on-premise and for their vendor spend and their software license spend and all that kind of stuff. So with Apptio, what they're getting is a all-up solution that can solve this problem at an IT department level, right? So that's really like, and when I say that, we're really looking at hardware and infrastructure and labor and contracts and licenses and facilities, all of the types of costs that you might imagine a company might have in their IT department. We are talking about providing visibility, planning, and optimization across all those areas, right? So, but if I, look at just the cloud space, it is true. Like I said, we've been doing this for a while now. Over the last probably 3-4 years, the cloud providers have really gotten serious about this as well. But the ways that we differentiate there, think of like a cloud provider is never going to give you multi-cloud visibility, right? We as an independent third party are able to look at your cloud costs across all of your cloud providers, give you visibility and optimization recommendations independently, and then let that cost flow through to the rest of your budgeting, forecasting, and financial management kind of process, right? So yeah, I mean, I think those are really some of the ways that we provide a holistic view of the technology spend and the ability to manage that spend.
Understood, Elton. So now today we actually see organizations are becoming more and more data centric. I mean, we have seen our own clients accumulating, let's say, petabytes of data on a scale that we've never seen before. So talking about solutions like Apptio, would they help these organizations forecast and predict the technological expenses in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are heavy believers in budgeting and forecasting and tracking, right? So if you look at our portfolio of products, one is really looking backwards at your costs and providing visibility into that. The other side of it is providing the capability to do planning on whatever level that you might do planning at, quarterly, yearly, multi-year levels. So yeah, we believe it's a huge part of effectively operating a modern IT department. We do the all of financial planning and budgeting, as well as we have targeted solutions as well. One that I mentioned is cloud migration planning, right? Cloud migration planning or cloud migrations can be done very poorly if you do pretty much no planning, right? You could move too fast to the cloud and leave a lot of your fixed assets and committed money that you've spent on hardware unused, or you might move too slow and you'll end up reinvesting back into those data centers where you'll end up now committing yourself for another 3, 4, 5 years. So it's really important that you get that cloud migration planning, done correctly, so you can move in an optimal way to the cloud without wasting too much of your resources and money, right? So we do targeted use cases like that as well. So yeah, we're big believers. I mean, we also have predictive kind of stuff, especially in the cloud space, around looking at your usage patterns and predicting kind of your bills. We do things like anomaly detection so that you can, when there are spend that is anomalous, we can let you know about it rather than waiting till maybe the end of the month to find out that, hey, somebody launched, 200 EC2 instances and cost me, $50,000. You can, maybe find out much more proactively and do something about it.
Thank you on that insight, Udam. So we've actually come to the end. So before you go, I'd just like to ask you, would you have any final advice that you'd like to give CTOs and technological leaders who would be listening this webinar? Is there anything that you'd like to say?
Yeah, I mean, I assume you mean from like a cloud and cost optimization perspective. Look, I suspect, vast majority of the folks watching this will either have already started their migration or using the cloud, or are well on their way and are, currently expanding their footprint, right? Maybe I'm biased being, involved in the cloud over the last decade plus, but the benefits far outweigh the costs and the risks of moving to the cloud, right? But there are some pitfalls. It's inevitable that, there'll be some missteps along the way. But I think the key for setting yourself up for success is going to be setting up that good hygiene for the teams and the engineering organization as they move to the cloud, so that from day one you have good accountability for the people that are using the cloud. Also, I'd say at the minimum build even a rudimentary plan so that you can set expectations with your finance department and other parts of your company, so that they know what's coming, right? Because it's really easy. I mean, we always say this, that the cloud is like, imagine every developer has the company's credit card, right? That's essentially what the cloud scenario looks like, because they can just go in and launch lots of things, and guess what? Somebody's going to have to pay for it at the end of the day. So really getting better accountability in your organization, getting a plan together so you can set those expectations. To me, those are ways that you can improve your chances of success as you expand or move to the cloud. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Indeed. So thank you. Thanks a lot for your time. I know it's late there, but you've made time to come and join us at this webinar. So folks, that would be it for our episode today on Bluecorp TechBytes, and we'll join you soon with our next episode. So stay tuned. Thank you.